This video explains some of the more prominent adaptive features of the score in Fig's First Flight. If you haven't played through the game already, I invite you to have a quick playthrough now. It would be more gratifying to have the narrative unfold with the score whilst playing the game, and the topics discussed in this video will make more sense. A link will be in the description, and the video game should only take between 10 and 20 minutes to complete. So in the game, you play an Italian boy named Fig, who along with his family is oppressed by the authoritarian rule of Italy in the 1930s. The family is lying low, but as their location is revealed to the government, the music intensifies. High strings playing sol ponticello set the tone, and the double bass triggers as soon as the player exits the house. This powerful bassy tone exemplifies the dread of the main character and works harmonically with the accompanying strings. Whilst this isn't a complex implementation of adaptivity, participants overwhelmingly agreed that this was effective score. So after escaping, the player enters a forest where they have to jump between platforms without falling into the water. This is accompanied by a more complex score that reflects how the player is progressing through the level. The instrumentation includes an acoustic guitar and a random second instrument, either mandolin, accordion or piano, that is selected by the game to add variety. When the player fails the level by falling into a river, the music will be interrupted by a transition segment at the next beat. This transition segment will include the instrument that is currently being used in the soundtrack and will always form an E-flat minor major 7 chord. This is how that chord sounds in relation to D minor. With the piece being cemented in D minor, this chord acts as an abrupt interruption to the music whilst also wanting to resolve back to the tonic when the player respawns. This basically means that the notes that make up this chord create musical tension that is released when the piece starts up again. This is also where the music engine will randomly choose a new instrument, and here is an example of that interaction. In player testing, some participants found that this music became tired. To remedy this, there is also an alternate version of this track for double bass that is very stripped back. This version will take over after the player has died 3 times. When the entire area has been completed, the player runs towards the cave exit. As the player approaches the threshold, a flurry of woodwinds are slowly introduced, culminating in a short musical end sequence with French horns. The next section I'd like to talk about is where the main character meets with his mother. The score features a solo classical guitar, and the piece is written so that it has multiple points where the music can end naturally. When the player leaves the room, the music engine will wait for the next transition point and play the final chord. Finally, as the player makes their escape from the hotel, they are chased by the secret police and their hounds. This sequence is the first time that a full orchestra plays in the soundtrack, which reflects the magnitude of the situation. This track will loop endlessly until the player manages to escape. To allow the music to transition at any point, every 2 bars are separated into a single audio file, and they play one after the other. This means that the music engine can know which end sequence corresponds to any 2 bars of music. Here is an example of this happening. Each of the end sequences allow the music to transition fluently into the next sequence. This turns an otherwise cumbersome track into something more malleable and ultimately more musical. And that's all. Thanks for watching.